Hello, people. Welcome to the Fantasy Faire. What is it? Oh, that is right. The most magical podcast on Earth. Oh my God, my throat feels so much better after Muppet Month.
Oh
after
my
doing
God.
after doing that ridiculous intro for 3 episodes. It's so good not doing Animal's voice. I don't know how the Muppeteers, they do that shit, but holy crap, it's great. Today's show, we're gonna cover Soul, a little movie, and on the Disney of Plus, and then also speaking of Disney of Plus, we're gonna also cover the Mandalorian season 2. Unless you're elsewhere outside of the United States, and in that case, it's series 2, I guess. Today is a very special episode. I'm taking a page out of Alexys Soto's book and calling everything special. We have Alexys Moreno, of course. We couldn't do the Fantasy Faire without the High Priestess herself.
Hello.
So, hello. Hi. And then also in the other corner, we have David Moreno. How are you doing, David?
I'm good. When was the last time I was in the Fantasy Faire?
I do not recall.
Beats me. But you've been busy on the Red Spotlight Entertainment podcast.
That's true.
For a while. Alexys took you from me. But it's been a while since it's just been us 3.
Yeah.
So the Lira with the Morenos. Let's go. This is the first podcast that we're doing in the new year in 2021. First of all, to cover our bases. How was your Christmas? How was your New Year's? How's 2021 looking for you guys? Hopefully better than last year.
Better than last week.
Oh shit. Okay.
No, it's been good. The holidays were nice. We were just at our house, ate dinner, went to sleep early. Watched a few movies. But yeah. How about you?
It was good. I got a new baby. It's awesome. Her name is Haley. To clarify, it's not an actual baby. It is my new electric guitar. It's an Epiphone SG. She's beautiful. Pelham blue. It is amazing. And named Haley after one Miss Haley Williams of Paramore. So I named her that. And in terms of things, ate a lot of food, and opened presents Christmas morning, and all that shit. And honestly, it was pretty good. It feels good affording presents now. You know what I mean?
Yes, that is my thoughts exactly.
Like Christmas doesn't feel awkward anymore because I'm like, oh, I'm getting all this shit, but I didn't give you anything, so I don't want to feel like the scum of the earth, not giving anybody anything. So yeah, it feels good to do that actually, and it's been that way for the past 2 years. I could actually do all that shit. So yeah, let us begin. The Fantasy Faire would not be the Fantasy Faire if not for a news update. According to Gavin Newsom's new proposal, Disneyland is now going to be a vaccine center for COVID-19 patients. And sign me up immediately. I want to get vaccinated in Toontown. What do you guys think about that? About Disneyland, pretty much being a pandemic epicenter for treatment? in California.
Do we still get to go on the rides?
Do we get to go on the rides after as a prize? Do we get a snack after as a prize?
Instead of like the traditional lollipop after you get your vaccine, it's like
churro.
Here, Splash Mountain.
I'm down.
Turkey day for me.
Oh my god.
Or chimichanga.
As a treat. A chimichanga, yeah.
Ooh, that sounds good.
I think it's incredible that like obviously like some big venues are turning into vaccine centers. Like recently, Dodger Stadium and Petco Park, they're turning into for their respective cities, I guess. So I think that's pretty cool. I don't know about North California because traditionally, as Southern California only matters. But but yeah, it's cool. I like the fact that Disneyland is being used as that. I mean, it's not being used. It kind
of surprises me that they actually. I don't know. Like, I am wondering if they had a choice. I mean, I assume they would. And if so, it kind of does surprise me that they were like, yes, let's go.
Okay. I think what's going to be happening is I think that there's some sort of relief plan for Disneyland in that park because, let's say, not much income is going into the park anyway. And also, I'm pretty sure that this is going to be a huge tax break for the Walt Disney Company.
Oh, I see.
And I'm sure that they can, the quicker they can like fix this, the quicker they can open. So, I mean, there's really no harm in them trying to help out.
So for the company, it's going to be like win-win and then another win because like...
Interesting.
But it's a noble cause nevertheless because like Disneyland, you know, at full capacity, we know that a lot of people could be in there, and we know that they could hold that many people while they vaccinate and everything like that. But just imagine like going to work as a nurse
at Disneyland. You know, oh my god,
at Disneyland, man, like that would be fucking wild.
Arizona people go. Probably
you're like
not.
Ooh. So it's pretty much after you get like, you know, your shots, you're pretty much gonna be like freaking the tank gang from Nemo. You're gonna be just like, now what? Can we go to the park?
I know. Oh god,
come on.
What day is it today? In like 5 days it'll be exactly a year since I last went to Disneyland.
Damn.
I know.
That's a while for the high priestess to go to the Disney Vatican,
that's a really long time.
It's been too long, especially for you, because like you seem to go like once every like, I don't know, 2 seconds.
No, I don't know. I try to go like once a month or something.
David, how long has it been for you?
D23, I think was the last time we went.
Oh yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and we literally went on like a whim.
Yeah.
We got out and I was like, hey, are you down to go to Disneyland at 5 p.m? And he's like, can we go to Galaxy's Edge? And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, I want a churro, let's go.
Because why not? Let's go for a churro. Churros and chimichangas and all that stuff. Oh, speaking of chimichangas, another bit of news. Kevin Feige confirmed that Deadpool 3 is in the works with Ryan Reynolds, and it is officially the whole Deadpool universe of it all is joining and sliding into the DMs of the MCU. And also, it's keeping its R rating. What do you guys think of that little tidbit?
I don't get how it was a hard decision for them to make it R rating. Like, it's Deadpool, you know? Like, it's weird. And then the cool thing, though, they don't really have to make like a reason or like work around a transition, for him to be in the MCU, because like you see the helicarrier in the first one, right? Or was it a helicarrier?
Yeah.
So yeah, he's like practically already in. I guess the trouble would be Colossus and what's her name? Mega Sonic.
But here's the
Teenage Warhead.
But here's the thing, though. They own the X-Men already.
I know, but like you're gonna have to explain, like, oh, how do these people have powers or something, or like,
how are they mutants?
Mm-hmm. I'd be cool to use his movie as a way to like explain mutants. I don't know.
That would be a cool segue to go into it a little bit. But like the thing with Deadpool,
like the whole movie is just him explaining all the new Marvel people that are coming in, him like stopping by at each movie.
Yeah, making fun of Thanos or Cable because it's Josh Brolin. You could do that. But like the very nature of Deadpool is very fourth wall breaking.
Yeah.
Anyway, so like you could have a lot of fun, especially with him being in the MCU now. The jokes you could make.
Oh my god. Dude. I want him to come out in like every Marvel movie that comes out, just to be like, hey, or like walking in the background, like
that would be so cool. He just walks around
like
the background.
Like he's the new Stan Lee cameo.
That would be so good.
Yes, we do that.
I would love for Thor to come out in Deadpool 3 just so he can see Cable and go, why do you look so familiar? It's like, or he just like gets like already hates him automatically, and he's just trying to figure out, why do I hate you already?
You know what would be funny is like throughout the whole entire thing, when he meets War Machine, imagine him saying, "You're not Terrence."
Oh my god.
Like you could make that jokes,
or
and he's
comes
like,
in and he's like, "Hey," like a Spider-Man pointing at Spider-Man situation.
Dude, Ryan Reynolds and Tom Holland, like that already blows my mind. You could do so many different things. It would be funny, like if like the Avengers all come together and they're like talking about their concoction. He's like, "Can it, guys? I don't think that we should be taking advice from people who literally got saved by a rat."
Oh my god.
Like, again, like the jokes are limitless in terms of like what they can do. When they could even make fun of Deadpool, could even make fun of like, "Oh, I bet you're wondering how we got another sequel." Hint: his name rhymes with Dickie Douse.
Oh my god.
He could do stuff like that. I mean, there's so many. Like, I think that this, in terms of like writing, this movie writes itself.
What if,
because of just that sheer premise?
What if they did that? What if Deadpool 3 is just the first Deadpool movie, only for sure it's nothing but MCU references? It's a, like that would be cool though. It's like, oh, I bet you're wondering how I got here now, huh? It's like his name is Dickie Douse, and then I don't know. Dang, that'd be crazy.
Yeah. And plus, like, Ryan Reynolds, he's more than, happy to, accommodate for everything that they throw at him. And Kevin Feige is down with that R rating. I wonder if they're going to tone down all the, sexual innuendos and whatnot. But nevertheless, I think that keep the F-bombs a-flowing. This is going to be a blast. And yes, I would absolutely adore Deadpool being the new Stan Lee cameo, so I think that would be exceptionally awesome, to say the least. Yeah. So guys, are you ready to go to the Great Before?
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about Pixar's delving into souls having feelings this time around.
Souls have feelings.
Souls have feelings. Cars have feelings. Feelings have feelings. Toys have feelings. So many feelings. So here we have Soul. The umpteenth Pixar movie to be released. Unfortunately, it did not get a theatrical release, but we were blessed enough to get it anyway before the year ends. And I want to go into general thoughts before we delve into the nitty gritty of the whole bit. So I'm gonna start with David. David, what do you think of Soul? Just general thoughts before we go into the actual conversation bit of it.
I liked it.
What are you, Alexys Moreno?
No, but I mean, yeah, it was good. I like the characters. I love the Great Before world, just the way they explained just the afterlife, but also again Great Before. The animation, wow, really like top notch. And yeah, the story was fine.
Story was fine. Okay. Moreno.
I have a hard time with this movie because I know that I really, really liked this movie. I don't know if I love this movie, but like it's close. Like it wants to be there.
Did you guys give it multiple screenings or did you just watch it once?
I just watched it one time.
Yeah, same.
I know that people say like after you watch it, like if you give it like a second try, it kind of gets better, and I still haven't done that, so we'll see. But yeah, I like the characters. There's some that I like more than others. I love the premise of this movie. I think it's incredible. A lot of the ideas that they put into this movie, I think, are so good. Yes, the animation is beautiful. And we love inclusion. So yeah.
Yeah. David, any other thoughts before we dive into other places?
Well, it's just so the whole like idea of like watching it a second time to see if you love it more or something. I don't like that.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't think that.
I feel like you shouldn't watch something twice or really do something twice just to like really know, do I like this? I feel like once should be enough to understand like your feelings about it, you know? Like I will watch a movie twice only if like to really like see if I missed any plot points of the movie or anything like that, just to kind of understand the story better, you know? But like if the movie doesn't catch me on the first try, then I think you probably failed.
but I also like understand that point of like, you know, with age, or not with age, what the heck, with time, like movies age differently.
Yeah, but at the same time though, like it doesn't really I mean, at least to me, it doesn't really change the way you feel about it. Like, you know, like say you watch, like I watched one movie, what was it, Kung Fu Hustle recently, and when I first saw that like on comedies, I think they were playing on Comedy Central, you know, I loved it. I was like, dang, the Kung Fu is cool, like the story's kind of cheesy and all that. And then when I rewatched it, I noticed some problematic stuff in it, but I'm still kind of like, it's still fucking awesome, you know. And so I don't know. I just don't like the idea of like, oh, I think I need to watch it again to really understand how I feel about this movie. Like, no, I think once is enough.
My general thoughts of this movie is I adored this movie. Coming out of it, like I really, really liked it. Second time around, I really loved it, and also like the thing is that like a lot of people say that this movie feels like a fifth draft when it needs a sixth kind of thing. And I don't feel that because I think a lot of things like nicely wrapped together in a nice bow at the end. And I listened to Alexys and Peter's review on Red Spoiler Entertainment of it all, and they were like, the message kind of loses itself with as the movie progressed. But I feel like the message of the movie pretty much transpires. Like you think it's going to be one thing, but it's about a completely different other thing, you know. And I think that that's where Alexys Peter and I's point of view differs, is that because like it starts off with a strong message and a strong thesis, but it turns out to be something completely different. And I think that's a really like witty way to, you know, subvert expectations. There, I said it. And it was a really nice, clever film that does that, especially with appreciating life itself. And I think that that's the most important key factor of the movie in general. I'll get into more why I think that's the most important key part of the movie a little bit later, because we're going to deal into spoilers and like closures.
Yeah.
And do all
I
that.
think for me, like, I think that the message is pretty clear. The only thing for me is that at the end, I just felt that there was more to be said, or it felt like the movie wanted to say something else. Like the ending didn't feel like an ending to me.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, I really like this movie, but I'm not sure. Like, I don't know. It's just that ending. Like, it's a good ending,
Yeah.
but it just doesn't feel like an ending to me.
I feel like it should have been like a big speech or something in the end. But instead, they just cut it down to like one sentence or something. You know? Because to me, like, for me at least, the message of the movie is, what is your reason to live? In a way. And I feel like you could have done this whole big sequence of him kind of like enjoying.
We'll get into
Are you okay?
So I was
Did you
trying
have
to-
a stroke?
I was trying to say like, wait, let's wait till spoilers, but I couldn't get it out. Sorry.
Terry snatched him. that part got me cracking up. But we'll get to it right now. But yeah, I feel what you guys are saying. Before we go into spoilers, what do you like more of last year, Onward or Soul?
Onward.
I liked Onward more.
Yeah, it's just, I mean, I like the fantasy element of it, and even though it's like I've seen it many times, I still love that story of you don't really need your father to like be raised by him. Like anyone can be your father. Like I like that story.
Okay. So let's get into spoilers, shall we? I think I'm gonna delve into a little bit of why I think that the thesis that was stated in the movie, I think, is like very key important to me personally. Because like throughout the whole entire movie, like he's like trying to find like a spark, you know, and everybody's trying to find that spark of life, you know, that's, you know, whether it be, you know, jazz, you know, and what have you. But I think that the most important thing that is said in this movie, that I think it, like the purpose of life is life itself.
Yeah,
you know, and somebody who's been through, you know, really excruciatingly dark spells in my life, you know, in terms of like mental illness and, you know, and depression, I find that this is a huge thing, because it's like, you know, maybe you don't have to be the greatest thing ever. Maybe, you know, you're just supposed to, you know, live life. And that's the thing that Soul 22 delves into a lot, is like these big huge figures like Abraham Lincoln,
which some of my favorite parts of the movies. Oh my god.
Muhammad Ali, you know,
Mother Teresa.
Mother Teresa, just like all these huge figures in history that have a legacy, and and trying to live up to those legacies, I think is very unfair and very soul crushing in itself, trying to live up to these, prominent figures. And even to an extent with Joe, that's his name, right? Joe Gardner. Even with Joe, who's supposed to be your window into the average Joe, so to speak. Just living up to something like that, I think, is soul crushing in itself. And so when Soul 22 finally finds a reason of being, which is living, like, I think that is so profound that, and I think that that's where people get lost into that message sometimes, is that, because they're like, oh, what was this spark, or what was that spark, what was this spark, and the expectation of, like, because when Soul 22, just like vanishes when she gets her patch and everything, like, everybody's like, oh, what's the closure for that? No, she did find her closure. Her closure was live. Yeah, and either she winds up whatever, a person of color she winds up being, whatever, if she turns out to be a she at all, it's just like her reason of being will be just being, and that's where Joe stepping out of his house at the end, I think, made it more prominently interesting because of that. And I think that a lot of people, like, you don't have to be extraordinary, just be yourself, kind of thing. And that right there is, I think, the message that Soul was trying to go for. I don't know how you guys feel about that. David, do you feel, am I spitting out nonsense?
No, yeah, like I said, I think that is the message that I got from this movie, and that's why I truly really like this movie. It kind of it reminded me a lot of Monsters University. Because I feel like that movie tries to tell you the same thing. Like, sometimes things don't work out the way that you want them to. But, it may just work out a different way. Or you might take a different road. And this one is kind of the same. Like, you don't have to be great. You don't have to do these things. Like, you'll find your own path. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's why it's like one of my favorite movies. And so that's why I also just really like this movie, because I love that. I love, we, especially like this year, so many things changed for so many people, so many things that people were working towards, like, it was kind of shattered from last year's events. And, it's a good message to see that, like, just because, things are different now, like, it doesn't mean that you have to stop living your life.
Yeah. And especially because, like, nowadays people had to transition, the way they work, the way they, and honestly, just the way they feel. And whether we like it or not, the retaliation, like, for example, the anti-maskers and all that stuff, that's just the way they feel. Either we agree or disagree is a completely different story, but that's just the way they feel. And, like, there's just different feelings all around for, like, the way their worldviews, like, shift, the way it transfixes amongst itself. And I think that just the way that different personalities could, like, do something like that is very fascinating. That's why when I was looking at the world of it all, and the world building of Soul, I think that was extraordinarily, in lack of a better term, cool, because you have these people and showing the differences in them, but their main goal is to live. And I think that is extraordinarily special to be said, you know? And I don't know. David, how did you feel about the overall message of what they were going for? Yeah, did it... yeah, go on.
Well, no, I mean, I like the message. I think, like I said before, I think the message was kind of just, you know, what is your reason to live? And for some people, it can be a certain thing that they want to become. For others, it can just be enjoying the little things. And I kind of like that bit because for what was his name? Joe? Oh, okay. You know, I think for him in the end, he still wants to like still play music and all that. And I like how they didn't really show that is he still gonna play with the band or is he still gonna teach the kids or is it gonna be both? You know, it's just kind of like it doesn't necessarily matter for him in a way. It's just kind of
as long as he plays.
It's just as long as he plays, he is happy with his life.
Yeah.
And I liked, and I know it's that because in when you see like his life in the one room, you know, he seemed excited, like, oh, this is gonna be right here. This is gonna this is the part of my life where this happened. This is a part of my life where this happened. But then he kind of looks at it and it's just kind of, and he actually almost says, oh, that's not how I remember it. Or like he generally remembers stuff happy, but when he looks at it from a different lens, I guess you can say, he's kind of like, oh, I did nothing. But then
yeah, very sad about it.
And I thought it was really interesting.
Yeah, and that's really interesting too because when you're looking at the room, you know, where it happened, it makes it like it puts in perspective of little things in your life that shouldn't be taken for granted. That your memories and like stuff like, I mean, it's much like the you know the thesis that was going on in Inside Out. You know, there's a balance between happy memories and sad memories and all these memories that trigger your soul. I think is a very important detail. That's why a lot of people, and that's why I feel that this is a perfect like spiritual companion piece to Inside Out.
Yeah.
Because versus what's going on in your head, you know, this deals with, you know, what goes on more, you know, deeper than that. Yeah. So I like
more like
I feel
things
like
that you can't control, and also how you handle those things and how, you know, your perspective on those things.
Yeah.
And that room especially, I think, is very interesting because I always have this thing where, like, you know, if somebody is excited about something, if somebody is sad about something, don't put them down for it, you know? Yeah. Like how he was doing to himself, because all the things that was in that room, you know, it's things that he was genuinely, like, it impacted him either a good or negative way, you know? It was him, and to look at it from a different perspective, and he was like, oh, this was kind of meaningless in the end. But, like, no, like, you know, you feel things so strongly, and whether it's good or bad, like, you know, that's you, like, that's who you are, you know? And yeah. I feel like it's a good, I guess, like, conversation starter I mean, it's a kid's movie, so to kids, you know, like, don't put people down for the way that they feel about things.
For the way they live.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because everybody lives her life in different ways, and that's what makes, you know.
I mean, obviously, if they're, like, doing something bad, then yeah. Like, but, you know,
yeah,
like,
fuck them.
Yeah. But, like, you know, if it doesn't
like,
hurt
for example,
anybody,
if you're...
like...
for example, if you're a white supremacist marching up the Capitol Hill, you know, I think yeah, obviously. But in fucking Scottish garb with freaking horns and shit. What the fuck was that bullshit? But yeah, speaking of which, quick thoughts. It's amazing that not once but twice was Trump impeached. So I think that's so funny. But yeah, I think going back to Soul, like how you feel is completely special and almost unique. That I think makes the genetic makeup of what a human race as a species is. And I feel like that is what the common goal of every human being is, you know, essentially. And that speech that he had, like, this is where I was like, you don't need this big old speech at the end, because he pretty much said it towards the middle. When he was talking, well, Soul 22 was talking to Joe's mom through Joe.
Oh my god, that is the part that like got me. Oh Jesus.
Yeah, because like, again, like our parents, like I'm gonna quote Mikey Newman from Movies with Mikey, but nobody knows what they're doing. And the mom doesn't, you know, she's just trying her best to like see that her son is well off, you know, in his life, but like the way he feels is different. He's just like, my life, I don't care if, you know, it's kind of like the whiplash effect, kind of like, you know, I don't mind if I, you know, die poor or hungry or anything like that. I just want to play.
Yeah. And I see, this is what I mean. Like, I love so many parts of this movie, but just as a whole, I don't know. But, like, this moment, like, spoke to me. I fully lived in that moment. I've been in that moment before, like, in real life. And, I don't know. I love that they included this scene in this movie. Because, like, I know that I'm not the only one, obviously. But I feel like with not to sound, you know, I don't know, weird, but with our generation, I feel like that is more common now. Because, I don't know, I just feel like we are more like, you know, we work towards things that we love and that we want to do rather out of necessity now. Like, we're not willing to put our happiness at like stake with, you know,
in jeopardy.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I feel like parents don't understand that, because to them, they were in the mindset, or they were put in the mindset from the generation before them of like, no, like you have to, you know, provide. You have to, you know what I mean? Like you have to make money, provide to live, and all this stuff.
Yeah, and while that's good and everything like that, you'll definitely be well off, but it's not something that I think, again, it's spiritual necessity, I guess, is a way of describing it, because like his soul fed off of jazz. And like the sign twirler, played gloriously, by the way, by Graham Norton.
I love that thing too. Oh my god! Like, there's so many things. Ugh, I just feel like we have to like tear this movie apart, because there's so many small moments that are so good.
And like the whole concept of the lost soul.
Yes.
And then when he was like, I was once a lost soul too, it was like, oh, what got you lost? And he was like, Tetris.
Dude, me and David literally looked at each other, because I mean, not.
Have you ever played Tetris?
Yes, it is addicting.
But, like, have you made it to like the final 12th level?
No, I've not.
Okay,
You see,
I have many times, and you do get in the fucking zone when you're there, because you're just like button smashing the whole thing, trying not to let it land on the wrong spot, and oh my gosh, that's why I laugh so much in that scene, because I understand.
it like it's so bizarre, right? I mean, like. The thing is about me is that I obsessed over Tetris for like at least 3 months. And like, but the thing is that I have horrible ADHD, and like my attention span would be like, oh, squirrel, ah, shit, it went the wrong place.
That's why you just gotta keep pressing the button, so then like, when you're distracted. I've done that multiple times actually too. Like I'm just pressing the button when I'm like, my mom's talking to me. I'm like, okay, yeah, sure, and then I look back and I'm still good.
And also like that whole like in the zone concept also is very interesting as well. My favorite bit of this movie is the freaking pirate ship. Because it's so freaking tie-dye and like,
and I love that they included this also, because I feel like that's such a real thing, you know, people that have this ability to kind of transcend to other worlds, like, or tune into other worlds. I don't know. I believe that that's like an actual thing that people could do. And it's so funny because recently, like, my mom has always been into like this sort of stuff. But recently, like, not that we are like looking into it or anything, because I'm also kind of scared. But but you know, she like talks to me about it and stuff. So I found it very interesting that they put it in there.
Yeah. But like it's so interesting because like, you know how you have the inkling that you met somebody before? Like that. And like it's weird how I feel like they Pete Docter and his fellow writers, I felt like they just dropped acid before like working on the concepts. They're like, dude, what if? Hence the tie-dye.
I believe it for the Terrys and Jerrys, just because like that's such a weird concept of these, well, I don't know,
non-figure figures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like it's very like dysmorphed and disproportionate, but like it's like the 2D animation on that was incredible. It's very like flat. They're very flat, but I feel like you needed it to be flat, you know, and not 3-dimensional because they are other dimensional beings, you know, kind of thing. Also, Terry fucking cracked me up because we all know that one person who takes their job way too fucking serious.
And everybody's like, yeah, we talked to him.
Yeah, we talked to him, and then he's like, oh, look over there. Also, I don't know if you guys felt this way, but when Terry was counting all the people going into the great beyond, I was like, Your Highness, I can't count when you hover. Like,
Oh my god.
Okay, question for both of y'all. Did you see the ball, and did you see the Pizza Planet truck?
Nope.
Oh, I think the Pizza Planet truck. I think I saw that one.
I didn't see it. I always miss those.
Okay, where was the Pizza Planet truck?
I don't remember.
Okay. For those who haven't found it yet, I would suggest turn it off. Or at least skip it a couple of seconds. Because I'm about to reveal the locations.
Oh,
Okay.
I feel like they've been listening to it at this point. They should have watched it because we're giving too much joy.
Or they haven't found it yet and they want to find it for themselves and go back. So the location of the Pizza Planet truck is, if you guys want to know, do you guys want to know?
Yeah.
First of all, I want
to know if I'm right.
Huh?
I want to know if I'm right.
Okay. It's in the hall of bewilderment or something like that when they're discovering their sparks. You know that room? Like first thing you see, look on your left and you see like an outline, a spiritual outline of the pizza manager.
Oh.
That's not what I thought.
Okay. And the ball, the Luxo Junior ball, is in Soul 22's box. And it's being used as a table.
What the heck?
That's cool.
Okay.
And then...
Because I was like, oh, the ball! The truck!
Wasn't the A113 in the movie too? Or is that a Disney thing?
Yeah.
Or...
I'm pretty sure it's in the movie. I haven't found it yet.
I think I saw it. Wasn't it like it was? I feel like it was in the place where the band plays.
Oh, maybe on like on one of the posters. Or...
Yeah, I
In
feel
the
like
door.
I feel like I saw it there. I could be wrong. Like I said, I always miss those.
Also, it's interesting to see a full-fledged bar in a Pixar movie. You know, so yeah, I love this movie. I don't know if I love it more than Onward because I saw it twice and I have the concept alone I have a deep appreciation for it, especially personally. But I don't know where I'm gonna rank it. If one of those movies turn up on my 2020 list when that gets done on Red Spotlight Entertainment, and put an end to this destructive year. But I think, yeah. Anything else you guys would like to say about Soul? Because I'm good.
I don't know. I just feel like after this movie, I'm very excited to see what comes next. These last two movies, I mean, obviously, like, Pixar movies are great and stuff, but I feel like the last two movies have been, at least for me, they've been really good in what they talk about and stuff.
Yeah. David?
No, I agree with her.
Okay. Oh, I love the barbershop scene.
Oh yeah, it was nice.
Also, like, going back, okay, I've not run out of things to say about it. But like the thing about that barbershop scene and just like they're like, oh, maybe his like whole discovery and all that stuff was actually teaching all along. No, he's learning that that these people, they also abandoned what they thought was their spark and found something else, and they found out that living with that new thing is the thing that kept them going.
Yeah.
So this movie did not get lost in translation. It pretty much followed through with what it was saying. You think it's going to be one thing, but then it wasn't. And it's much like another movie that we talk about frequently here on the Red Spotlight Entertainment, right, guys? One that always sparks conflict amongst certain discourses.
We'll talk about it eventually.
We'll
coming up.
Yeah. Coming up soon, yeah. But yeah, I absolutely love the thesis of this movie. I love movies with theses like this. There's a movie that I don't know if you guys have seen. It's an Al Pacino movie, and it's called Simone, aka Simulation One, where this down on his luck filmmaker gets visited by a weird person one day and gives a program that's built as like a simulation perfect actress, like the most perfect actress you'll ever know. You could add her in post, but she's like the most like, and so there's a bunch of questions that you ask that has something to do with like What is human? What is real? When you do something like that, are you missing the human element in filmmaking? Which I find fascinating in the whole thing. So like thesis movies like these and concept movies really appeal to me, and I think that's why this movie really gelled with me instantly. The way I saw it, I don't know how you guys saw it. December 25th at 12 a.m., I texted Alexys Soto, and I was like, hey, let's watch Soul. And he was like, are you serious? I'm like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. So we stayed up until like 3 a.m. watching the movie.
Dang.
So it was good. It was a good time. It was a good starter to Christmas morning. So I think, yeah. So, guys, are you ready to go to a galaxy far, far away and talk about the Mandalorian? Because I'm pretty sure you guys have thoughts, and I have thoughts, and
We all got thoughts.
yeah. I want you guys to go first because I feel like you guys have are more critical towards this season.
It was fucking trash. That's all I gotta say. I was kidding. No, it's bad. I don't like it. There's absolutely no story to it. They really, what's his name? Pedro Pascal was very, very, very underutilized. All the best moments in the Mandalorian are when he takes off his helmet. Baby Yoda is adorable. I cannot deny that. But he shouldn't have been a baby. He should have been at least been able to speak.
To talk.
Yeah, like I don't mind him being in the crib most of the time, but he should have freaking talked at least. What's his name? Grogu. Yeah, that's his name. Grogu should have talked.
Spoilers.
Everyone's seen
Gurgi.
it. Gurgi, Goku, Goten,
Go on.
Go on.
Go
What else? I think I said this, but I gotta say it again. There's no story to this show. Not
But
one.
the cameos, bro.
Yeah, the cameos. Oh my god, the music. What was that thing Boba Fett did? The bomb.
The knee gun.
The knee gun. It was like some good things. The visuals are great. It's honestly fantastic. I wish
I like the show.
I wish I liked the show so I can enjoy it more. I was gonna say something else. The people saying that they love the relationship between Grogu and Mando.
What relationship?
What relationship? It's non-existent, really. Like, seriously, for anyone who loved The Mandalorian, give me one reason why Mando loves Grogu, other than he's adorable. Moreno said this. It's like, that's the only reason she knows as to why he likes him. It's because he's adorable.
Wait, I want you to say the whole speech you gave me like an hour ago.
I'll wait for that. Let's just
Okay.
all give our thoughts.
He was going off earlier.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
It has to do with the bullshit people keep saying about The Last Jedi, or really just all of Star Wars. Okay, and I'm not talking about Last Jedi haters. I'm talking about everyone.
In general, the Star Wars community as a whole. Go on.
For me, I agree with everything he just said.
Okay.
With maybe the exception of the first episode of the season, that one is my favorite show of the entire series. Because there's an actual plot. There's interesting characters, interesting monsters.
What happened?
Action. That's the one where he goes into that town and that guy's wearing the Boba Fett
Oh, okay.
thing. The ending ruined it, but whatever. But yeah, like, I don't think that this season, like, there was absolutely no story. Like, yes, you know, you have the small thing with Baby Yoda and stuff, but, like,
it's
no. The cameos, all the cameos to me, I thought were so dumb. I did not like them. Yes, there was Bo-Katan, and yes, there was Ahsoka. They looked amazing. Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka, yes. But also no, because Bae Ashley Eckstein. But, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Like, that's it. Like, it just looked great, and that is not enough for me. I am genuinely just baffled by why everybody loves the show, because but then I'm not, because that's Star Wars fans, you know, they just want the pew pew and lightsaber battles. That's all they want. And I don't know.
And for things to be badass.
Yeah. I don't know. And then all of the spin-offs that they set up the entire season, because that's all that there was, I'm not excited for. So, yeah.
Also, I forgot, the action scenes, lame. And this is coming from me, by the way. Like, I'm easily entertained by action scenes. Like, I've enjoyed a few, like, badly choreographed fight scenes, but this one was just like, I really don't care.
Yeah. And then, like, one of my favorite things that Peter said was that episode of where Boba Fett comes out. He calls it, where they were in California. Oh my god. I died.
It looked like they were on their way from the Imperial Valley to San Diego, and they were like, wait a minute, we gotta pull over and film.
Oh man, that's so funny. But like, true.
Only locals will get that.
Know. But yeah, that's pretty much my stance. Will I continue watching it? To be honest, I didn't even watch the last 2 episodes because I saw bits and pieces and I was like, I'm done. No.
You're like, you tapped out.
Really, I did. But yeah, I don't know. I just it honestly, it just makes me sad. Because I do love, you know, this world, and I just feel like they're just like bringing it down. And I love this world not because of the action scenes, not because it's badass. I like it because you can use this world to tell actual stories, and they're not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Like actual human stories, you know, that's
which
set
is,
in like different.
You know, the main thing about Star Wars, it's, you know, life stories, relationships, like that's what that is, and they're not doing that. But yeah.
Okay. To answer your question, David, of why the Mandalorian cares for Grogu so much. It's because he relates to him in some way, because he is also, because at this point Grogu himself is a foundling, much akin to what the Mandalorian was. So I think that just the fact that he relates to that so much, and just like where he comes from, I think that is where he instantly connected with Grogu, and found a new purpose, you know, in life other than just like being a badass.
Okay.
So
that's okay. That is good. The thing though is that everyone else watching it are putting like this is some amazing philosophical form of storytelling,
relationship between them.
Yeah, like
and it really is.
I have a picture of something Alexa sent Soto on the group chat once, and it fucking makes me laugh every time. It's like Grogu offers Din the ultimate self-reflection. He discovers that he isn't just another Mando or just part of the group, but instead his own individual. It's not just good storytelling, but good Star Wars storytelling. It's more than fun. The Mandalorian is more than the fun fan moments. I'm sorry, but that's such bullshit. Like, again, like, Kyle, okay, that's great. There is a reason as to why he's interested in Grogu, but I do not see in the story, in the show, that like that the relationship grew, that he learns something from Grogu or I don't know.
Like, there's no development in their relationship to
Yes,
make me believe that, like, that is his sole purpose now. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, that is, seeing himself in Baby Yoda, like, yeah. But, like, show me more? I don't know. Because, like, that too, like, we don't even actually know who the Mandalorian is. Like, we've seen bits and pieces, but not enough to actually care for him either.
Mm-hmm.
At least for me.
And, like, you get those moments of him, like, really being passionate of the Mandalorian way, but you don't really see how that really saved him or how that made him the man he is, like, today. Like, yeah, they've saved him and all that. That's cool. They took him in. That's great. But, like, usually in some other shows or stories, you kind of you sort of see the struggle of him adjusting to that culture or something like that, and there's nothing of it. And this is supposed to be a bounty hunter show, and we get nothing of bounty hunting. And we don't know where he gets any of his equipment. We don't, or anything like that. We just don't get anything of the bounty hunting world.
Yeah, but don't worry, we have to spare some screen time for Bo-Katan, which looks like girl, I want to know what your skincare routine is, because like, holy shit, you haven't aged since Clone Wars. What are you doing? Because my Proactive ain't doing jack shit. But I think, all seriousness, I think you guys are valid in different things. What got me interested in the Mandalorian show in the first place is that I thought and that's the thing though, I didn't want a bounty hunter show. I didn't want a bounty hunter show at all. And that's what I thought the Mandalorian was just going to be. I thought he was just going to go around the, go around the galaxy, pew pew, and bang bang, and I thought that that's what's going to happen in the show, which in the second season it more leaned into that. But the first season I really enjoyed because it was
The first season?
yeah.
Okay.
It was a father and son kind of thing. It was like a guy who is ill prepared for fatherhood, and just by happenstance that he kind of comes in the same position as this kid that he inherits. And I found that really fascinating. I was like, okay, we never had this kind of element in Star Wars before. We never we never had proper parents in the Star Wars universe, because Luke Skywalker, which we'll get to him in a bit, Jesus, but when Luke Skywalker, the only semblance of like a father he had was half cyborg. That was the galactic equivalent of Hitler's Gestapo. So that's a no bueno, kind of thing. But the thing that I find really fascinating about that whole ordeal was just him protecting his newfound sense of purpose in life, other than, bounty hunting and doing all that, and, the pew pews, as Moreno puts it. But I think that was the most important part of the heart of the Mandalorian that I loved so much. And then the second, first of all, the fucking first episode of this season fucking blew me away.
Yeah.
Some of the I'm gonna go on record saying it is some of the best Star Wars content that we've had since the inception of Star Wars. You know, because like this really leaned into like its theming, which is spaghetti western in space.
Yeah.
And this felt like a western.
I love
like
that first episode. I thought, like, I wish we got more of that. Like, that's what I want.
Yeah.
But we did not.
There were episodes that I liked. I liked the episode The Believer with Migs Mayfield. I love that whole dynamic and seeing because we got a little brief part of it in Solo, but because that movie was so void of actual soul, a controversial opinion, I don't feel like it really sold the point of seeing the war from the Imperial side, you know, and seeing the war from the Imperial side and The Believer, I think is really fascinating, especially hearing Migs Mayfield talking to Joe Chill from Batman Begins, of all people. I think it was really interesting seeing the world, and again, like stuff like this and seeing the world actually build instead of like introducing people that we've seen before juxtaposed, I think is the most fascinating part of the show. Just seeing different parts, like a fishing town. Like, I've never seen that before in a Star Wars, you know, setting. Blows me away. Fish people. The frog.
A frog, lizard.
Frog lizard people in a Star Wars thing. Fucking awesome. Hey, this is like what blew me away watching the first Star Wars for the first time. Just
she actually gets an arc.
Yeah, but like in the cantina, just seeing like, you know, this like mantis creature in the cantina, and just seeing like a devil masked thing in the corner, seeing an ape person in the corner, seeing somebody with a disfigured nose, you know, saying, you know, I don't like it either. Like that shit blew me away as a kid. And like, what is their story? I don't know, but it's fucking awesome. And that's the portions that I really love about The Mandalorian, is like seeing different parts of this world and exploring more of Star Wars, because like I love that portion of Star Wars, just exploring, other than the spiritual aspect, which I really loved in The Last Jedi that we got. But story, I can't tell you pinpoint what happens. It felt like an RPG most of the time over a show.
So you mentioned that this is like a spaghetti western show.
It was supposed to.
It was supposed to be a spaghetti western, and like if anyone says that it is, I totally disagree. What it basically is an adventure show, and that's the thing that kind of bothers me about this show, is that if you want to make an adventure show, you gotta get us excited of the adventure, you know? And like, so, and I mentioned this in the Red Spotlight podcast once, but I used two examples, and it was Adventure Time and Futurama. Like, that one has characters who are always like, oh my gosh, we're going to this alien planet that does this, holy shit, let's go, 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 go. And then, you know, in Adventure Time, their motto is, what time is it? Adventure time. And it's like, that's how you're supposed to get people excited for. And this one is just kind of like, oh, you gotta go here next, you gotta go here next, you gotta go here next. Like, that's all it is. It's like there's never a moment of Mando kind of going like, holy shit, let's go. Or even, this is why Baby Yoda shouldn't be a baby.
To kind of like juxtapose what he's feeling at the time. Which I get. I'm really curious. I really want to hear that like 1 hour rant that you lay down on Alexys over here.
It wasn't an hour long, but I mean, it's just that I just noticed something with all Star Wars fans that's just kind of like, it's really pissing me off. So when The Force Awakens was coming out, and before we even knew of the title, I remember watching videos of people going that they don't want this to be a movie about Luke just being a badass for 2 hours straight. You know, that the story was going to be boring if it did that. Like, people said that. I know people said that. And then the movie comes out, and you know, he wasn't even in it. But like, it's that's fine, whatever. But people had their thoughts. They liked it, whatever. Star Wars is bad, cool. Last Jedi comes out. And it was just a shit show afterwards. But, you know, the people who really disliked it, you know, they're saying just how much this movie sucks. For, like, every single second of the movie, why it sucks. Like, really nitpicking the plot or criticizing the plot. And we've said this, and I know I've seen it like on Twitter and other videos before, but people kept saying, so like, don't look into the plot so much. Like, people don't really care about plot so much, you know? And then what did the Last Jedi haters say? They're just, that's ridiculous, that's stupid, you're acting like as if the fans are dumb or something like that. Just like, they just hated that response of, oh, how could you say that people don't care about plot? Okay? And so Rise of Skywalker comes out, and we were all basically just kind of done with Star Wars in that moment, you know? And then Mandalorian comes out, and like I said, there's no story into this show, but people are eating it up, you know? So it's kind of like, and it is Last Jedi haters going, oh my gosh, this is the type of Star Wars content that we wanted, this is great, but there's no story. And even like some of the, I've seen a few Last Jedi haters like nitpicking the plot again on this show and hating it too, while some like a bunch of others are loving it. But
for different reasons though. The thing is that like with this movie and this show, with the Last Jedi, it did to a lot of Star Wars fans was question their intelligence a little bit, and it gave them like, you had to think about the movie in order to get it, versus the Mandalorian, you don't have to think.
I mean, yeah, you're not wrong.
In order to like enjoy it. And I think that because again, I don't feel like these people know what Star Wars was back then and what made the original trilogy so special. And like the thing that made the original trilogy special was because it took a broad concept of like good versus evil, but turned that into spiritual action adventure with, you know, the Force, but also, you know, as a treat you get pew pews.
But that's the thing though that people keep bringing up, is like the reason Star Wars became so big when it first came out. Yes, it's a good story, there's no denying that, but it was mostly the technology that made it so like amazing. Like that's all really people ever talked about. Even like my dad, he was just kind of like, I saw the first one, I loved it because I never seen technology like that, but he never saw the rest. Like he just kind of didn't care afterwards. Yeah. And so I don't know, it's just so weird. But like I was saying, but then you got some Last Jedi haters like really nitpicking the plot, and even their fans who also hate the Last Jedi are telling them now, hey, don't nitpick the plot. And so it's just Star Wars fans just keep turning and turning and turning, and at some point the ones who nitpick that don't like Mandalorian, even they now admit that if Luke had like been a badass in the Last Jedi, or he cut down those AT-ATs in the movie, people would be a lot more forgiving of the movie. And it's like,
just
we're all
stupid.
we're all seeing just the utter bullshit that some of these fans say, and they still want to argue, listen to the fans. It's like, cool. They did that with Mandalorian again. there's no story. It fucking sucks. And they did that with Rise of Skywalker. It fucking sucks. He tried to like, oh, I'm gonna answer every question people had. It's like, don't do that. You like, there is answered questions in The Last Jedi.
People just didn't like the answers.
People just didn't like the answers, you know? And that's another thing we kept saying, is that people didn't like Last Jedi because their theories weren't, their theories were wrong.
Satisfied, yeah. Again, that's why, because like this movie, The Last Jedi, questioned a lot of people's intelligences, you know, and it attacked, you know, those dying questions and their theories, because the thing is that a lot of like fans, and especially with like film culture today, is that a lot of people in the film community, you know, especially on YouTube and the discourse on Twitter, like, because everybody feels like they have to be the next Roger Ebert by saying something, you know, extraordinarily exceptional with what they're saying and their next theory that they have. And we'll get to the Mandalorian in a bit, but but this is like the root of a lot of problems that we all have, is that people thought that they were ahead of the game, and a lot of people feel that way, to be ahead of the game and like have their theories specularized and validated. That way, you know, their videos are recognized. That way, you know, the way they feel is validated. And to have that completely crushed in The Last Jedi, it got them fucking pissed with whatever little semblance of whatever fan version of testosterone is. They completely lost that when The Last Jedi gave them the answers that they weren't, that they didn't conceive in their head prematurely before seeing the movie. And with that, a lot of people turned and they went berserk because they weren't validated. And that's the thing, is that now they were like, okay, well, at least we'll have Luke doing some badass shit. And they didn't have their version, again, validating their version of Luke being badass in The Last Jedi. And they were pissed because they were like, at least we'll have that, you know, in The Last Jedi. But they didn't get a version of that they viewed as badass. But when Luke showed up at the end of The Mandalorian, I find it a nice juxtaposition of where he is then versus now with The Last Jedi, which is the final film of the saga. It's weird how they ended at A.
And you know what's funny too, like now that I'm kind of thinking about it, none of the original characters, with maybe the exception of Leia, did things that we kind of thought in our heads that might have been badass in the sequel series. Because if you think about it, like Han, he wasn't this, you know, I don't know,
hero general in the sequel series, but he was trying to be a father.
Yeah, but he was a father and he sacrificed himself, you know, for the sake of his kid. You know, that to me is a lot better. Like, I'm sorry. And then Luke, it's the same. Like, you know, he wasn't this old badass fighting guy, but, you know, he sacrificed himself for his family. Like, I just don't understand how you could say, like, that sucked. But that's literally what he did. And that's literally what Star Wars is. It's a family relationship movie. Like, what?
It's Space Kardashians.
And like, here's another thing that's like, for me, again, Star Wars fans are just like bullshitting. That scene in Mandalorian with Luke coming out, yeah, I enjoyed that scene. Like, I thought it was cool. Like, it was really cool seeing him cut down those robots. The CGI, it was off, but I still liked it, and everything. And I keep listening to that music at the ending where Luke finally takes Grogu and like he's in the elevator and it closes. I love that song. I keep listening to it over and over. It's great.
Yeah.
But the thing though is that that's not Luke. That's the thing. They're like, oh, we got the Luke that we wanted, but it's not. That's the one that you had in your head, the Jesus Christ figure, all powerful figure.
Okay, here's where I disagree slightly, because it is Luke, but in his
prime.
And that's where like we see him in his prime like that, right? And he's fucking awesome and slaying, and like nobody could touch him. Even Moff Gideon, when he realized who was coming at, in the corridor, because let's face it, everybody in the Empire knows who the fuck Luke Skywalker is, and pretty much the whole entire galaxy knows who Luke Skywalker is. I mean, he's kind of like, rest in peace, he's like the Kobe Bryant of the universe, in terms of, heroism. And that's why it's so well juxtaposed with what he is in The Last Jedi, because he has to deal with those repercussions and not being able to,
lean on him being like this hero to everybody.
Yeah, and that when that burden became too much, when he was like trying to like sacrifice his nephew for the greater good, and he couldn't come down to it, he feels like he let the entire galaxy down.
Yeah.
And so like to see where he is at that point in The Mandalorian, I think is such a good counterpiece with where he is in The Last Jedi, that I did like that moment. Yes, it is, Luke being badass. But in terms of congruently where he is in The Last Jedi, I find that it like more validating for The Last Jedi just to see where he comes from, as a character. So Luke in that whole scene gets an entire pass from me because of that. But again, it was ridiculous to see a lot of people crying and bawling their eyes out seeing Luke doing, being a badass. But I that whole episode, first of all, I liked the final episode. I really did. I liked, storm. I like storming the gates, battles, of, where the main evil is. That's the reason why I love Return of the King. That's the reason why I love all these things, is just people storming the gates. It's simple, but I like that simplicity. Yeah. So with going back to the Last Jedi conversation, I think a lot of, like, again, I don't know how many times we could say this on the Red Spotlight Entertainment, thing of it all, is that a lot of people just, lay down their chips on so many different things, and the cards they got, it enraged them so much because they pretty much bankrupted their entire, self-purpose and identity in Star Wars so much that a lot of people couldn't handle it, and thus making people angry about it. And I think that is completely stupid to do. I mean, yeah, Star Wars is great. I love it. I have a whole fucking Star Wars decor section in my fucking room. But like, to do that and to like completely like be, creatively bankrupt and enjoy like the simplicity things, I think a lot of people should be more outraged with The Mandalorian, because while there were fucking awesome fan moments in season 2, like a lot of it was very hollow, because all it was getting to point A to point B to point C to point D all the way to F. And it just wasn't, thrilling enough for that, because there are no real stakes other than Grogu. But like, there's no stakes in this whole thing. The fate of the galaxy being, under the thumb of an emo prince.
Yeah.
I think that's a threat. So you gotta vanquish that threat, and you feel that threat because this guy, this emo prince, is emotionally unhinged. You gotta stop that shit.
Leave him alone.
I mean, we all know what an unhinged person could do to a country. So yeah, so there's a lot of stakes on the line, and like that is where the driving force of the sequels really shine through. Even in The Rise of Skywalker, it does bleed in a little bit. I'm giving it that much credit. Even then, it's too much. It bleeds through a little bit in there, which I think that makes the sequel trilogy as a whole way better than anything that the Mandalorian is, because there's no real doomsday stakes that is in the Mandalorian.
It's literally just set up for other stories, which at least to me now don't seem more interesting. There's actually something that Alexys sent me earlier which might upset you.
Okay, go on. I mean, everything Alexis sort of says upsets me, but...
Speaking of spin-offs and setups and one Ahsoka Tano. Okay, remind me. When we were watching Clone Wars, you assumed, right, that the next animated show was going to be basically the Ahsoka show, right?
Yeah, with Sabine and looking for Ezra and Thrawn and another. By the way, I cringed hard when she said, "Where's Thrawn?"
That's when I was like, "Are you fucking kidding me?" Like, this is like the one thing that I was looking forward to the most, and it's all gone. And let me tell you why. So this is what Alexis sent me. It's literally a whole, I don't know if you can see that. That whole thing is what I'm about to say. And I also asked him if I could say this whole speech, and he said that's fine. So it goes. He read an article, because, that's what he does.
That's all he does.
It goes.
And decorate his room.
Jon Favreau is a single reason why the Rebels sequel series is going to be live action and not animated. And it's actually so much worse than that, according to new reports. The Rebels sequel series was literally in the middle of production, meaning they had complete scripts and some finished animation, and Taylor Gray even recorded voice work for Ezra, when Jon Favreau literally stepped in and canceled it. Apparently, after the success of The Mandalorian Season 1, he convinced Filoni that this sequel series should be in live action instead. So the report confirms that the Ahsoka show is what was going to be the Rebel sequel series. I'm so offended on so many levels. Ashley Eckstein lost a job over this and now is nowhere to be seen. And yeah, good job, Filoni. Why take advice on what content should be in animation or live action from the man who directed the live action Lion King? There's a lot more, but that's basically, I'm upset. I'm upset.
The thing that disturbs me about this whole mentality between Rebels and all that stuff and live action versus animation is that a lot of people devalidate animation. Mm-hmm. Because Clone Wars.
Oh my god!
Has some of the best Star Wars content since Empire. I'm gonna go there and say that. It has some of the best Star Wars storytelling since the original trilogy. And people refuse to watch it because, why?
It's a cartoon.
It's a cartoon. Yes. That pisses me off to no end because, like, we've seen that finale. We've seen, like, how explosive the show could be.
And, like,
I've explained-
yes, like, that pisses me off so much because hardly anybody was talking about that Clone Wars ending. And that's literally, like, one of Clone Wars and The Last Jedi and Empire are my favorite Star Wars content. And I'm truly sad and upset that the ending of Clone Wars did not get as much hype as The Mandalorian, because that ending, which is like basically a movie, oh my god.
Also, a lot of people are like, oh, episode 3, you know, and, you know, pretty much chizzing all over the place because of it, you know. Like, you would think that this would be up their alley because it firmly establishes episode 3 in canon.
Yeah.
What the fuck, people? And also, guess what the show also gives you? It gives you the badass Darth Vader. So I don't get it. I just don't get it. Also, Rebels. Yes, it's for kids, but guess what? So is Star Wars. You know? Star Wars itself is for children. When I was watching the other day, because I had no idea this existed, AFI gave the Lifetime Honorary Award to John Williams. And you know, a bunch of celebrities came out like that, you know, represented portions of his career. And George Lucas came up to talk about like his work on Star Wars. And he was like, what was once a story to be told to little children, emphasis from the man himself that everybody is like, oh, George Lucas wouldn't have done this. No, you guys are fucking stupid. This thing is for children. That's why I was so thrilled to find out that Bill Burr was in Star Wars. Because like in his stand-up comedies, like he was like, I just don't get the, you know, hype that a lot of people have with Star Wars. It's basically a self-help book for children with with Muppets. And just the fact that he was in Star Wars just blows my mind. But to backtrack, George Lucas said that this franchise is for children, you know, and he said that, you know, you took this tale for children and made it a little bit something more.
You know what's funny? You know what's funny?
Yes.
The people that hate The Last Jedi, they're like, one of their biggest excuse for hating it is that they say it ruined my childhood. But they're the ones that say, oh no, it's not for children. How dare you downplay it for that? And it's like, okay, but you keep associating it with your childhood though, meaning that it is for kids. That's the reason why you liked it, because you saw it as a kid. And so I just
And also, like, I was talking to my dad about The Mandalorian, and my dad is not a Star Wars fan by any stretch of the imagination. But he said that I like the fact that this is grown up when he was talking about The Mandalorian. And I'm like, adjusts glasses, talks, and like says, you're pretty much saying that you like it because it defies the general purpose of Star Wars itself. Yeah. That it is for children. And I don't know what's the deal about like liking, you know, children's content, because like, for example, like I completely dismissed Steven Universe because of that whole concept, because like I was like, what the fuck is this? A kid clamoring about an ice cream cookie, you know, with a fucking belly button ring. What the fuck is this bullshit? But then I watched it. I fucking sobbed for like an hour after I saw the initial series run finale. I like, it's such a good storytelling about self-worth and how like you as your own person is enough. And that's what Steven Universe is about. And you could have those stories in a child, in children's content like that and have it mean something. I don't understand why that is such a bad thing. That's why like there's such a stigma against like animation as a whole with like Disney films. And like and this is where like my very, toxic masculine little brother came up to, like, when I was listening to freaking the Aladdin soundtrack while I was taking a bath, and he was like, why do you still listen to that, that childish music? And I'm like, excuse me, like, what's wrong with liking something that appeals to the inner child in you? And I just don't understand that mentality. I don't know if you guys understand it.
No, I get it.
No, yeah, it's so funny because I follow a lot of people that work in animation or do animation for themselves and stuff. And for some reason, I'm not exactly sure why the conversation started, but a lot of them have been coming out, and even like big animators, like I think the guy that directed The Incredibles,
Bad Bird.
Yeah, he even came out and said a few things, and they were, but it's that type of conversation, like making animation seem like it's less than what it is. And one of the things that they said was animation is not a genre. Animation is a medium. You don't have like a genre is, a Western. It's a horror, comedy. Like that's what a genre is. A medium is the type of like how it looks, basically. The
way you tell the story.
The example is you get Disney movies and then you have South Park or Futurama, where it's like it's those
Rick and Morty.
Like those aren't for kids. There's like nudity, cussing, and just kind of like horrible.
Those are genres. Those are different genres, but they're all one medium. And people putting it down just because it looks a certain way, it's not right, and it's stupid because that doesn't. Just because it looks a certain way doesn't mean that the story is going to be, less. In fact, it might enhance it.
Yeah, and just because, an F-bomb isn't dropped here and there, or something is not getting fucked, that doesn't mean the story is any less, significant. Which is why I'm so, like, downhearted that 2D animation, for right now at least, is dead, in the water, because like that's a totally different medium that you could be using to tell your stories.
Well, like the best example of like how animation can like enhance storytelling. Spider-Verse. Like it literally brought the multiverse. It's something that it's taking over 10 years for Marvel, for the MCU to do, like bringing in the concept of, but they did it in one movie. And it wasn't just like bringing like certain people from other universes together. No, you're seeing the whole multiverse collapse by the end of that movie. And it doesn't seem, at least who knows for other people. I'm used to this kind of stories, but like, at least for me, it wasn't too overwhelming of that concept. And so yeah, animation is the best, guys.
Animation is great. I don't know, like people cringe at animation, people cringe at anime. There is still a stigma here in the United States that people are stigmatized against anime and anime storytelling, and saying affiliate it with like the hentai crowd, and and I don't feel like that's doing the medium justice, because like I watched a show recently that had great storytelling. It took a while to get used to because I'm not used to the anime format, but it was a great story nevertheless. Demon Slayer, I don't know if you guys heard about it.
I've heard about it, never seen it.
It's about a brother and sister. The sister undergoes a horrific accident where she turns into a demon. And so like there's this whole like legion of demon hunters out there that, you know, are trying to kill, and how he is a demon hunter as well. And just like him trying to cure her demonness while facing off different evils and all that stuff. It's a good show, really good show.
I know another anime that's kind of similar to that, Tokyo Ghoul. I would recommend that. It's really cool.
Okay. I watched one season and I'm really interested in finishing the rest. One Punch. Just how freaking ridiculous it is. One punch and a man's down.
Yeah, that's a great first season. Second season, it's fine, but like that first season, it's honestly amazing.
Also like how like nonchalant and like deadpan the hero's face is. Most of it, it's just funny. Yeah. It just plays onto that trope so well. But I think it's just animation. I mean, we're probably, you know, tuning up, you know, the right tree, because this is a Disney podcast and Disney's soul, tie it back together, is animation. So I don't know, folks. I don't know. I just don't get people these days.
Yeah.
But again, like a good portion of this country, you know, voted once again for megalomaniac, and there's so many different things, not wearing masks, and that just confuses and boggles the mind. Oh well. So yeah, season 2 of The Mandalorian. Do I recommend it? If you want some brainless television, I guess. But there is no I
mean,
there's no
they
actual...
might like it. Everybody else seems to like it.
Yeah, but there's like no like substance that I think that is like of worth. In season 2. Oh, by the way, Book of Boba Fett fucking like God. shoot me now in the skull at least 7 times. Make sure I'm dead. I cringed so hard. Like everybody was like talking about like how like, well, amongst us, we were talking about like how things were like felt very fanficky. This hella felt fanficky.
Yeah, I literally, because that Friday I wake up on Fridays. I wake up like around 5 a.m. to 6, and Alexys has sent a message to me and Peter, and he was like, "You guys need to watch the ending scene, like not like the Luke scene, but like the after credits scene." I put it on, dude. I was done. I was done.
Also, I don't know if we're ready to have the conversation of like how the MCU has ruined storytelling. We'll save that for a conversation another day. But I feel like the MCU has ruined storytelling forever. Yeah, I'm out of thoughts to say. How about you, Morenos?
Like I said, Star Wars fans are full of shit. If you like Last Jedi, say it, and say it proud. Okay? 'Cause if the Last Jedi haters are liking Mandalorian, then they don't fucking care about story or plot. So
they care about things that go pew pew, man. That's badass. Are you wearing a Percy Jackson hoodie?
Yes, I am.
I barely caught on to that.
Yes, it's long. Camp Half-Blood Long Island Sound, and it has a
Oh
Pegasus.
my god.
I barely caught on to that. That's nice. Nice little touch. You're in your attire appropriate for the recording session. Because Percy Jackson is Disney now. Yo.
Apparently they already finished the pilot script, so it's happening.
It's happening.
Well, maybe,
yo.
unless, John Favreau walks in.
I mean,
Jokes.
if he's just walking in for trying to make it look good, fine.
Oh, I mean, I'm
from the
sorry,
script.
John. Unless
John, at the investor meeting, I don't know if you heard this, David, but I cringed so hard when Kathleen didn't say their last names, but said, Dave and John are working hard on the next. Holy shit, gouge my eyes out.
That's funny. Jokes.
Yeah. So this episode. We ran longer than I expected.
I know, I did too. I was like, oh, this is going to be like an hour.
Yeah, I think it's because we had a lot to say about the Star Wars discourse as a whole, which we always went, it doesn't matter.
I apologize for how many times we always end up back talking about this.
I still have a lot more to say. But I mean, we'll just save it for another time, I guess.
Yeah, maybe we could have that. We should just dedicate an entire episode on
We've
just
dedicated
that. And
multiple episodes. It's
God
just
damn it! You know what?
ending.
Never
It's
mind.
fine.
As long as Star Wars is in this condition, we're always going to talk about it. But not Star Wars, because Star Wars is always going to be Star Wars, and it doesn't matter what. But Star Wars fans in general. So yeah, I hope you liked this episode, and if you did, you could check us out everywhere you listen to podcasts, whether that be TuneIn, Stitcher, Spotify, Apple. Yeah, we're all right there on the Fantasy Faire. Check out what's going on in Red Spotlight Entertainment and see what they're cooking up. I'm pretty sure we're working our way to a top 10, if that's possible, of 2020 movies.
I know next month they're bringing Back to the Table.
Yeah. Thanks for the invite, guys. No, I'm kidding. It's whatever. But also, I want to talk to you guys about stuff that we're cooking up here on the Fantasy Faire Kitchen. So Moreno and I were talking, and so February we're gonna have Shorts Month due to it being a short month. We're gonna be doing.
It cracks me up. I laughed so hard when I came up with that.
I bet you were. I bet you were laughing for 2 hours. You're like, short. So we're gonna be doing that. We're also in March. We could I guess. I don't want to, but I guess it needs to be done.
Through.
We need to get through some of the ones that we haven't done and been avoiding for a long time on Once Upon a Retrospect. So get ready for that. April, Tangled the series.
I'm very excited.
Is happening. May, we're gonna do a DuckTales review show. I love the fact that Moreno is more enthusiastic about Disney than I am, because she creates content for me and I don't even have to lay a finger. I just have to show up. I think that's it. I think that's incredible. And between all that, because this week, the first 2 episodes of WandaVision is dropping, and I'm very intrigued to see what comes out of that. So we'll have a WandaVision review out whenever the whole series as a whole comes out. We're not going to review it episode by episode.
Which I'm doing that with Alexys on Red Spotlight.
Oh, you guys are doing WandaVision?
Yeah, episode by episode.
Okay. Okay, that's interesting. Good luck with that. How many times is he gonna bitch and moan about Agents of Shield? I wonder how many.
It is both of them too.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, take a shot every time it's mentioned. No, never mind. You're gonna fucking kill over in the first minute. Alexis Soto, I'm telling these jokes lovingly, of course. Don't get mad. Because after we hear these episodes, like, this is why I completely avoid the Red Spot Entertainment episodes as a whole, because I know that shit is being said over there that I don't want to know about me. So I'm just like, nope, staying away from there. And whenever we do hear it, we're just like, fuck you with in the chat. So I'm avoiding that discourse altogether. But yeah. So without further ado, I'm Kyle Lira. With me is David Moreno and also Alexys Moreno. You guys should change your last names to Rose. That would be up Shit's Creek.
Oh my god.
So yeah, without further ado, from the Lira and the Morenos, stay magical, everyone.